Are you sick of feeling like, man, nobody else can ever do it right? And are you a chronic micromanager? If so, this is the video for you. It's going to guide you in the right direction. And it's also going to show you and tell you some things you might not be the most comfortable with. But if you're gonna grow any kind of company, whether it's a lawn and landscape company or anything else, you're gonna need the skill of delegating things and having a team do things for you, because you can't do it all yourself. Before you get into that though, I'm Jacob Godar. I have been in the green industry doing lawn care and landscaping since 2014. Actually before that, because I worked for another company before we started our own. We've had a lot of wins, a lot of successes, hired a ton of people and built really cool teams. And I'm very, very proud of both of them. And with that, there have been times where I was extremely on top of micromanaging, and there's certain situations where you need to micromanage them at first, but eventually you've got to let the reins go, right? And I've seen over time how I can get better at delegating, how I can work towards delegating, and how I can eventually trust a team. And that's what I see time and time again when I hear people talk in the green industry. Is they hire people, they don't do the job right, they expect like, man, I hired the person and they should be magical and they should do everything right. And that's like, seriously, you weren't good at your first job either. You just feel like you were good. You probably weren't as good as you are now in your business doing the service. Say you are mowing lawns. Like when I actually think back in my mind, when I'm judging an employee, I look back and I think, man, I get on them for this, this, and this. But dang, when I first started, I made some of those same mistakes, but I forgot all of it because I've moved so far. And now I have this high opinion of myself, and I'm maybe kind of like really being too hard on them because I'm being unrealistic. I had skin in the game and I made some of these mistakes. They have no skin in the game. Literally, they're getting paid a wage and they're new here. What do you expect? So those are some of the things in my mind, but let's get right into this. One of the things that is hard to do, especially when you're growing and starting, but is necessary through whatever way, and that is training people. So training people for me originally looked like me being out on the jobs, me working with people, then me eventually allowing them to start doing the jobs themselves. And then now me just kind of coming in and answering questions. And then we get, whether those people stayed or we had to hire more and more people to find the people that were skilled that could take off in that environment. Then it turned into us getting skilled and more skilled people that then could train out on the job more and more and more people. Now over time, we started involving trainings at the shop, going over like sending people to training days where they're learning about certifications for certain things they're doing, all kinds of different things. But the first thing is training. Now this could mean about field. This can also mean about the office. So training in the office is extremely important. We've done tons of video content and things where if there's something you're needing someone to do, creating some kind of video walkthrough, step-by-step guide so you can train them the first time, and then they have that thing to refresh themselves on over and over and over again. Because what happens is we don't train anybody, and then all of a sudden we're pissed that they don't do it the way you think that they should have done it. That's totally fucking ridiculous. Like it blows my mind hearing people act like people are less than or not good enough, and you didn't even really train them. What did you expect? You threw them out there and you wanted them to be perfect. There are jobs that I throw people out in our industry. I expect that like you get thrown out there, you should be able to use a shovel at least very quickly, right? But there's other things that take a lot of training and take a lot of time, and you aren't just gonna magically be perfect right from the beginning. Now, after you train though, you need to continue to guide. Like you can't just walk away, cool, I showed you that, you're gonna be great forever. You need to continue to come in, touch in, guide the situation, go out, show face, and continuously, whether it's in the office or whether it's in the field, be guiding people as much as possible in the right direction. Because another thing that happens, what I said, you don't train and they do something the wrong way and then you are just blown away. Another thing that happens is we don't really guide much, and then people get out there, they do it differently. And one of the most ridiculous situations, because as business owners, we just think that our way is the best because we worked really hard to get here. And so then if somebody doesn't do it the same way, we're mad. And a whole nother thing that if like you're not guiding people, they're probably not gonna do it the exact same way. But a little bit of a realization is understanding that as long as they come to an acceptable end goal, whether that be in the office, whether that be in the field, they come to an acceptable product, whether they did it the way you think it should be done or not, like the way you would do it, as long as they got the correct end goal, it's totally fine. So that's a whole hurdle and challenge to get over yourself of realizing it doesn't have to be done the fucking way you want it to be done, as long as the end product is acceptable and everybody is happy. Half the time it's the exact same as the way I would want it finished. It was just done in a different way. Have you ever heard the saying, there's a bunch of different ways to skin a cat? Well, there's a bunch of different ways to do everything correctly, because it's different. Just because something is not done the way you as the owner, you as the person who started the company would do it, does not mean it's not done right. So there's some mindset stuff on this as well that's like, okay, I've got a little bit of head trash here that I just think that, man, they didn't do it the way I would do it, so it must be wrong. And that's on you to get over. So if you're micromanaging because it just doesn't, I just want it done my way all the time, that's ridiculous. You need to get over that, because that is a waste of time. Now, we've already talked about training. We've already talked about continuously guiding people. Now there's a little bit of understanding that there's gonna be mistakes. People are gonna go out there in the office. They're gonna make bad calls on the way they respond. There's gonna be people in the field. They're gonna go out there and they're gonna do a job wrong. They're gonna lose thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's gonna be a major expense to the company. But the true thing is that expense is an expense in training. You know, it's a fee that you pay to continuously train your team. As long as people care, means that they get this opportunity put in front of them to learn from it. Just like us as business owners, it's never a failure if you can learn from it and continue moving forward. You can turn it into a teachable moment. So there's gonna be mistakes, and you've gotta be okay that it's gonna happen, and it can be so stressful. I can totally sympathize with you on that and relate that it can be so stressful. Like, you're like, I don't have enough money, we can't make the mistake. But unfortunately, you have to pay for training, whether you pay for it up front, whether you pay for it along the way. And let me tell you the truth, you're gonna pay for both. Even if you try to do everything perfect up front, you're gonna pay for the fuck ups along the way that are truly gonna teach and define people. Because if they're a good person, they feel so bad about it that it's going to change the way they view what they did, and they're not gonna make that mistake again. Now, finally, the last part of this is you've gotta evaluate. You've gotta evaluate the team. If you see someone doing something over and over and over again, making similar mistakes after plenty of time, then maybe they're not gonna learn. And you need to be able to do this quicker and quicker and quicker as you progress. Make judgment calls and figure out, this person is gonna learn, this person isn't gonna learn. I need to shift this person into the position where the decisions are made, because this person needs to be in a non-decision making section of the job, right? Like, this person needs to be a crew leader, this person can't make decisions, needs to be a crew member, so they have someone above them making the calls, because they are not yet capable, or maybe they'll never be capable. And then ultimately, if they're not able to live in any of these categories, they need to be out of the company. So you have to train your people. You have to guide your people. You have to allow them to make mistakes so they can learn more faster. And then you have to evaluate and see, are they learning? Are they making mistakes and getting a lot out of it? Or are they just bleeding out and continuously causing expensive issues, and they're not making any progress? And we've tried everything. We can't repurpose them in a position where the decision maker over them. It's just not gonna be a good fit. You need to do all of these things and constantly be open to moving people around and putting the right people in the right places, because you cannot, as hard as you wanna try to ram a square peg into a round hole, you can't do it. People are much more successful when they're in their wheelhouse, in their like section of excellence, or their area where they just like, hey man, I love numbers. Hey, I love design. I love organization. I love just being out there working my just tail to the bone. Like, that's how I always was. I just love to work. As much as I hate the word grind, I love to grind on things all the time. It's just how I'm geared. So you gotta do all of these things, and you've gotta understand bad stuff's gonna happen, and delegating, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be challenging, because we want things done our way, and we have to let go of that. As long as the results are acceptable, the way we're going, and we're improving as we evaluate the team as a whole, because you're gonna have people that elevate and get better. And at first it's gonna feel like no one's good enough, they're not gonna make it. And eventually you'll get that person that learns, because the real secret here is the best people don't need much training, because they're able to learn so much on their own. And they learn just by being there. They learn just by being in the situations. They don't need a ton of guiding. They wanna know because they wanna excel really fast. And once you start getting a person like that, then there'll be another person like that, and your team will grow and grow and grow. And a little bit by a little bit by a little little bit, you can delegate more and more and more. But if you tell yourself up front that you can't delegate, everybody sucks, like whatever you say is right. Whether you say you can or you cannot, you will be correct. And so you need to get your mind right about this whole process with delegating, with training, with guiding, with understanding. The hardest part of this is understanding bad shit's gonna happen. It's gonna cost a lot of money. It's gonna be scary. If they're the right people, it's gonna help us train. It's gonna help us get better. So then we can continuously evaluate and continue making the team better and better and better, being able to delegate more and more and more. And then in closing on this, just look around. If you feel like you can't and you see any company in the world in your industry doing it, delegating, growing, building a team where you don't have to micromanage every single thing and be on top of it, because by delegating and letting people run and grow and become more, now you don't have to micromanage. If there's any team in the world in your industry doing that, it can be done. So even if you want to think that it can't be, you've already been proven wrong. So you're wrong before the words or the thought even come out of your head, whichever way. It comes out of your, I guess it happens up here and then comes out your mouth, right? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Think that through, because that's reality. And if this video has helped you at all, even though I've kind of like went all over and I went into the mindset and like how to delegate so you're not micromanaging and how to like break some of these these head tendencies, share this with someone else, because everybody, this is hard for everybody. This is still, I have to work on these things. Like, you're never going to be perfect at this. You're going to get better at delegating. It's a lifelong journey to grow a business. It's a lifelong journey to learn about investing. It's a lifelong journey to learn about building a team. It's a lifelong journey to manage. Just all of these things. You never stop getting better. You get a little bit better all the time. So share this with people so they know, because a lot of people just feel like it's impossible, and it's totally okay to be at the beginning of the journey and feel lost and feel like you can't do it. And then give this a like if you got any value out of this at all. That really helps this channel and helps more people see things that are going to put them in the right direction instead of garbage that is not going to help their company grow. And finally, subscribe. We'd love to have you along with the journey to catch more information just like this.